have to. Let's see it.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this special edition here of On Deck here with me, Charles Bradge Richey. And hopefully join us a little bit soon. Today will be Reese the Ruler. Getting ready to reach into our bag of tricks today on this show as it is Halloween Saturday here today. And also election week coming up in the next few days. Make sure to go ahead and vote. For more of the On Deck on CSR shows, you can definitely catch us every Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Of course, me, Charles Bradge Richey, which I also host the Mass Shield podcast, which you can hear throughout Mondays and Wednesdays, now at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, which you can catch me. And you can also catch my man, Reese the Ruler. He also does a show Weeko Wednesday. Make sure to check him out on their social media platforms. For us, you can follow us on social media. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. And then you can also follow my man, Reese the Ruler. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at ISCR3 with Nutherbolt. And then you can also check him out on Facebook at Kimo Sabi. Get ready to get into a good one. Like I said, an exciting one right now. Beginning right now with some MLB Upper Deck to start off this show right now. As everyone has heard the news right now, Tony La Russa, believe it or not, which has been being reported the last couple of weeks about him possibly returning to the White Sox, the manager's ball club. And we've been hearing on many platforms, possibly him being a good fit with the Sox, possibly as their manager. He is their 40th manager all-time with the team. And really, I mean, at the end of the day, too, I mean, this is a guy who's been away for a long time as we take a look at it. And when you really look at a guy like La Russa, I mean, granted, he's been away for about 10 years, well over a decade. I mean, but at the end of the day, too, a guy like Tony La Russa, who's been a manager of the year 4 times, 3-time World Series winner, been to the pennant 6 times for a 4-2 record. I mean, he knows what it's like to get it done. I think there was definitely some interesting comments about how he's going to be able to connect to today's players. Because don't forget, mind you, there was a very controversial comment he was making on right around the time when Colin Kaepernick made his kneeling stance back in 2016. Here's what La Russa had to say. This was being brought back up on the air on KJ and Z on ESPN. Check this out real quick. Only La Russa's comments.
I would not allow it on my team because I think respect for this country, the flag, I know what the Constitution says, but I also know you have some rights as an organization. And I really distrust Kaepernick's sincerity. I was there in the Bay Area when he first was a star, a real star. I never once saw him do anything but promote himself. And all of a sudden now he's a second stringer and he's got this mission and I just don't trust his sincerity. And even if he was sincere, there's ways to express your belief in, some of the issues that face blacks around this country without disrespecting the country you live in or the flag that it represents. Absolutely would not allow it.
So there you have it right there. I mean, him expressing like his questioning his sincerity right there. And also, too, one of the biggest talks about a guy like La Russa was how he's going to be able to condone players. Because one of the things, too, as a guy like Dave Kaplan here on ESPN Chicago, who hosts a radio show, co-host along with Jonathan Hood, with Cap and Hood here, just basically saying how he's had to deal with personalities before. I mean, look at a guy like Ricky Harrison, or even guys like Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire. I mean, he's had a share of strong personalities before. I think the only question is when you look at a guy who's been away this long, it's just listen, you've been away for 10 years. My biggest question, it was, of course, personalities of the players, but the analytics of the game right now, because we're seeing the way baseball is being managed from a totally different perspective right there. And you saw it proven once again back on Tuesday evening when the Dodgers did close out the Rays for their 7th World Series title. They're now 7-14 in the biggest dance all time. But I got to believe for right now, the question is, right now, a guy like Tony La Russa, I mean, you better believe, I mean, he'd be doing stuff like when he last previously managed game. There was no instant replay when he was around, with the exception if a ball was fair for a home run or not. I mean, that's just about it. But, I mean, he's done a whale of a job as far as converting pitchers and the bullpen pitchers and the starting pitchers. I mean, don't forget, I mean, once upon a time, too, there was also a guy by a name a long time ago, Rick Ankiel, member, who started off as a pitcher in his career, and up until like around like 2001, I mean, he started like having issues with his mechanics right there. He was not finding the strike zone at one point. So later on, he made a big transition to become a batter. I mean, this is a guy who, when you look at him, he pitched for not even like 3 seasons before he started going haywire right there. It started happening around 2000, I want to say. But, I mean, a guy who came back, I mean, back in, 2007 as a regular batter right here, was able to do a lot for this team. Was just able to squeeze a lot out of him. I mean, granted, I mean, this was a guy right here who, at the end of the day, just as an example, he was able to help turn his career around and find a way to be a true contributor to the game. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this guy started batting like probably I'd say like in the mid 200s. I mean, 240 batting average career at the end of the day. But still, I mean, you got a guy like La Russa who's very street smart of the game. I mean, when you take a look at it, I mean, this is a guy right here. Like I said, I mean, the only other guy who I could think that would probably come a little bit closer to like La Russa's level is Jim Leland. Granted, he's only won one World Series with the Miami Marlins, the Florida Marlins back in the day when he did. His solo one being back in 1997, 23 years ago. Well, I think a guy like Tony La Russa coming back to like a team like the White Sox, a team who is sizzling right now, a team who is very well positioned to get a World Series title in the next few years with this core group of talent you got on here. And I think the White Sox right now, too, I mean, a lot of people, including myself, I definitely, when I first heard the headline that he was going to be their manager once again, I was not really putting up the thumb of approval on this ball club. I really wasn't. I mean, just simple for the fact, I think they could have done a little bit better. I mean, one of my top choices, I'm not going to lie, would have probably been a guy like A.J. Hinch, former Astros manager. Granted, he's been involved with the cheating scandal more than possible. But, I mean, at the same time, too, I mean, when constructed with a good team, he's been proven that he can manage. I know there's still a little controversy around that. But at the end of the day, too, I really start to believe, like, this guy right here, I mean, he could do well with a team here. And I just really just curious right now how he's going to find a way to connect. I mean, you look at a guy like Mike McCarthy in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers. Are we going to have to be recognized with a situation like that where you're not going to be having people wanting to warm up to him? Is he going to have struggles understanding the locker room? I think those are some legitimate concerns with the return of a guy like Tony La Russa. I mean, at the end of the day, did Rick Hahn and Jerry Reinsdorf, did they make a mistake? I mean, was this a feel-good moment where they wanted to right or wrong? And not only that, too, I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf, at the end of the day, I mean, when you look at it, too, I mean, a guy who's in his 80s at the age of 84 will be turning 85 this coming February. I mean, you gotta believe how much longer is he going to be able to like stick around as the Sox owner and chairman. I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, you gotta believe. I mean, I haven't heard any health issues with him, but at some time too, I mean, this is a guy who's been motivated by stiflers in this media and people across the baseball world. I mean, most recently, 15 years ago, I mean, you had a guy, I don't know if many people remember this, not so much for the younger folks, but the people growing up like around my age and older. an annoying beat writer for the Chicago Sun-Times, Jay Mariotti. Jay Mariotti, at the end of the day, I mean, he had a radio show on ESPN 1000 back in the day. Don't forget that. Or on ESPN Chicago, and he made some heavy, strong remarks on a guy like Reinsdorf. I mean, a guy like Reinsdorf at that point in time who had not won a World Series ever as an owner. I mean, it's a guy who's been, I mean, pretty much like slammed for possibly being part of the strike that happened in 1994. And none of that. I mean, this is a team who can never figure out a pitching staff. They always a team that was always well known for hitting for power, playing 500 ball. I mean, at the end of the day, but at that point in time, he did enough to fire him up where he got him off the air. I mean, obviously, he still contributed for this town up until like about 2008, but they made some moves right there where they made a trade. They made some acquisitions where they got Scott Pasenik, they got rid of Carlos Lee, Magdaleno Ordonez, they got Jermaine Guy, along with some pitching finally. And I remember looking back at that 2004 offseason, you know what? The acquisitions that they made, I knew it was going to be enough to win the World Series. I knew they were going to be high favorites, if not win the World Series. I really felt that strongly about them. This right here, getting a guy like Tony La Russa, I mean, listen, I'm not saying Reinsdorf is going to be going anymore real soon, but at some point, too, I mean, you wait a long time. The World Series for a guy like Reinsdorf, I mean, where he wants to come across is showing how much he can win at all. I mean, I believe he does want to win. I'm not saying he doesn't. But here's the thing. A lot of people continue to recognize this guy as a businessman majority-wise, a guy who is one of the few owners, I mean, in sports, to be winningest in two different sports, 6 NBA championships, along with a World Series title. The World Series title will always be that elusive one that he has been chasing for quite some time. I just really start to look at right now, this like his shut up moment to all the critics right there who doesn't look at a guy who doesn't want to win. I'd like to hear your thoughts. We're talking the acquisition of Toy La Russa right now with the Chicago White Sox right now. Feel free to leave me your comments. You can even tweet me up, hit me up on Twitter at Prodigy Richey. Or just leave a comment here on the Facebook page. I can follow on Twitter and Instagram once again at Prodigy Richey. We're streaming live on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. And we'll see what continues to happen right now because let's be honest. I mean, when we look at a guy like Rick Renteria, who was the last manager, everyone knew good dog, darn and well that he was not going to be the guy that was going to take this team to the next step. Okay? I think Rick Renteria, at the end of the day, and I think no disrespect to a guy like him, he was always going to be a nice setup man for wherever he went, whereas with the Chicago Cubs or anywhere else that he's chosen to manage, it was just never going to be a guy that you were going to count on to win in the long haul. I mean, he definitely felt that finally he was going to get a team to some postseason success, make a playoff run. I mean, it ended up turning out that they lose to the Oakland Athletics, I believe it was in 5 games. So, I mean, but again, I don't think he deserves to go empty-handed, walk off the field, not getting his recognition. So, I ponder this question to you, White Sox fans. What do you guys feel about this roster right now? I mean, a team who definitely gave some excitement, some hope for the season, getting back to the playoffs. I mean, again, nothing is promised, nothing is guaranteed, but I think you got to like their chances right now coming back, I mean, with this lineup. When you still have guys, I mean, like Dallas Keuchel, where it's Lucas Giolito. You also got Michael Kopech. I mean, much more guys that he can really do, I mean, get out of here. I mean, then you still got a veteran here with Jose Abreu at the age of 33. I mean, Tim Anderson, who's probably right now, I mean, at this point in his career, when you look at what he's done in his career with the White Sox, since coming there in 2016, I mean, he's got a very respectable, I mean, like I said, I mean, like a slugging percentage of 443. I mean, still needs to be up there a little bit. But I mean, at the end of the day, too, when we also look at it, I mean, he's a guy who's proven to be one of the top guys in this game here, if you ask me. A very great shortstop right now. I mean, for this past year, I mean, he's the guy that they love to build around, and he's been very consistent. Still looking to see for him to be an all-star appearance. So again, feel free to leave me your comments right now. I mean, as you got the Cubs on the other side of town right now, they're probably going in the opposite direction. They're probably going for either a reload or probably close to a rebuild there. Bottom line. And I'm not sure how much it's really good to feel excited on that side of town, but we shall see. Again, feel free to leave me your comments right now. Now we're going to go transition over into the World Series controversy that unfolded. Now, as everyone may recall, the reports were that Justin Turner, he tested positive the day before, what it sounds like, and he had to be pulled around the eighth inning of this game, and he had to isolate himself. Now, the Dodgers, like I said, who have waited 32 years for this moment to be winning that exclusive World Series title right now. And you know what? I tell you what, it's a very tough situation with a guy like Justin Turner right there, a guy who's waited his whole career right here to feel that moment. I mean, when you look at it, a guy who's played in this league for 12 seasons, 7 of which with the Dodgers right now. And he's been an all-star before. I mean, as one of the guys who's definitely been cheated on this Dodgers team. I mean, you look at around what's happening with the city of Los Angeles right now, city of champions once again, with the Lakers winning their NBA championship back on October 11th, and now the Los Angeles Dodgers here back on October 27th. And, I mean, the biggest thing that overshadows it a lot, and we had two controversies, actually. One beginning with the Rays manager, Kevin Cash, who decided to pull Blake Snell with 1 out in the 6th inning right there. Only had 73 pitches in that contest. And it was pathetically sad to see how that went down right there. I mean, and one of the biggest reasons why you see this game of baseball gets criticized, why is it taking away the fans? I mean, fans are like kind of like tuning out, not watching it. I mean, you see managers right now, I mean, they're going to be relying on their tablet, checking to see what the analytics say as far as like when they should be having a pitcher pitch for some innings or they should pinch it. Listen, at the end of the day, I don't care what it is. And I talked to Bob Pompiani of 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. And when you look at a guy like Blake Snell, who's only allowed 1 earned run for that point, 9 strikeouts, only allowing 2 hits right there, 73 pitches, you're fighting for survival right there. You're down 1 game. 3 games, 2 is a scenario right there. And you're going to pull this guy. I mean, because of what the analytics are telling you. And I just think that's a damn shame at the end of the day. I really do. And it just was not. It just goes to show you right now how certain managers, I mean, how we view the game competing differently these days. I mean, it's not, I mean, the standards just seem to be going out the window. I mean, it's just, we're just seeing so many bullpen pitchers left and right. I mean, for matchups and based off of number of pitches. And when we talk about a guy like earlier with Tony La Russa, many people would say he's one of the first guys who's like started with analytics right here. So my question to you is right here. What was the biggest controversy that stood out in this World Series? Was it pulling Blake Snell during the 6th inning, or was it Justin Turner going onto the field, onto the celebration with his teammates, receiving the trophy, and without his mask? What was more that stood out for you? Justin Turner coming back on the field after he was told to self-quarantine, or Blake Snell being pulled out of the game? Listen, if I had my choice, I understand the severity of this disease. Obviously, it's a deadly virus, but at the end of the day, I think people are finding ways to adapt. I'm not going to call it a selfish moment for Justin Turner. I get it. You wait your whole career. You obviously want to do yourself the right way. You want to make sure what kind of image you're leaving that will stand out for people to look back on this. I mean, people are going to probably look at this as a stain on the World Series. It's a damn shame that we're not talking about LA, the city of Los Angeles, both the Lakers and the Dodgers winning their respective world titles right there, and especially for a Dodgers team who's waited 32 years to experience their last world championship. I just think that's sad that we're not putting a little bit more emphasis on that. I mean, there's also a lot more storylines we're missing out with that, speak of which. I mean, when you got a guy like Magic Johnson, the guy who's come in as part of this ownership group back in 2012, I mean, with the Dodgers right here, I mean, he's a guy who deserves as much credit with that ownership group. He helped do a very big thing as far as like marketing his team properly, again, the spotlight they deserve. He brought Showtime not only from the Lakers, but to the baseball field as well. Why are we not talking about a guy like Magic Johnson? I mean, he's a guy who's ultimately, I mean, I understand we got the death of Kobe Bryant that happened earlier in the year, but I got news for you too. I mean, when you look at a guy like Magic Johnson, he just ultimately cemented his image as Mr. LA. He really did. And I'm glad to see a guy like him who's come over from the basketball world into the baseball element, has also been a part of not only 3 pennants, but finally a World Series championship for this team. I think that is freaking awesome. I don't want to be talking about continuously with Justin Turner, with what he did. Listen, I'm on the side of the fence right now. I'm not going to call it selfish, because at the end of the day, if that was me, I guarantee you I do everything I would to convince people for me to be on that field with my teammates. Obviously, I got to do my best to social distance myself. I understand that part. But this is something you may not get back. His future is in doubt right now with this club right now. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2021. We're not sure if he's going to be able to re-sign with this team. And you know what? It's just sickening. I really do. I mean, the thing is, too, I mean, in the baseball world, I mean, basically went around over 50 tests over 50 days without a positive test. And now for this to come up, I mean, come on. Again, if you guys want to disagree with me, feel free to send me a tweet on Twitter at Richey, or just feel free to comment live here on the Facebook page on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. We got more to get into in just a second right now, as we're talking right now, as we take a look at it. I mean, MLB Upper Deck, biggest controversy, Blake Snell being pulled out of Game 6 by manager Kevin Cash, or Justin Turner returning on the field after he was told to quarantine himself. I want to hear your thoughts. And Sox fans, please feel free to leave me your comments right here. What's the level of excitement right now? Possibly. I know this has not been a popular hire with a lot of people. A lot of people have been putting Rick Hahn and Jerry Reinsdorf on the carpet for bringing a guy like La Russa, maybe possibly showing loyalty. But I got to tell you, I'm excited for this White Sox club. I really do believe that they will win the World Series. I'm not sure if it's going to be with La Russa, but I got to tell you what, I think La Russa, what he could do, he could definitely set the precedent in that clubhouse, the expectations, bring over some accountability, some discipline, just how he goes about trying to get to his players. I mean, because that's the thing people are wondering, how much is the risk factor with Rick Hahn and Tony La Russa? Because actually, if I had another choice too, I would probably, if I had to add on my wish list, I would probably chosen Bruce Bochy, formerly of the Giants. Granted, he's got a losing record all the time, but this is a guy who's won 3 World Series in 5 years. You got Tony La Russa right now, I mean, in his career at this point in time, I mean, when you look at everything, I mean, he's done, I mean, managerial-wise, I mean, he's top 3 in wins all time as a manager. I mean, you got the top three right here with Kai Mack of the Pirates and the Athletics with 3,755 career wins. And then you got second on that list, Tony La Russa with 2,798 victories right here. He's got a chance to pass right now on this list for this season. John McGraw for regular season wins right now. Tony La Russa has 2,728. John McGraw has 2,763 wins. He needs 36 more wins to pass John McGraw for second all-time on regular season wins. So we got much more to get into. We're going to go ahead and hit up this break here on deck as we got a little bit more. We're going to wrap up with some NFL extra points here as the Bears go for a key matchup against New Orleans Saints. Get to say they're playing for their playoff lives. Still got time to tell, but it's going to definitely be a key head-to-head matchup. They're number 5 in the playoff seeding in the NFC. You're listening and watching On Deck on CSR, which is me, Charles Pride Richey. Don't move a muscle.
I would not allow it on my team because I think respect for this country, the flag, I know what the Constitution says, but I also know you have some rights as an organization. And I really distrust Kaepernick's sincerity. I was there in the Bay Area when he first was a star, a real star. I never once saw him do anything but promote himself. And all of a sudden now he's a second stringer and he's got this mission and I just don't trust his sincerity. And even if he was sincere, there's ways to express your belief in, some of the issues that face blacks around this country without disrespecting the country you live in or the flag that it represents. Absolutely would not allow it.